Hello and welcome to another episode of the SourceFed podcast. I am Matt Lieberman. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube, listening on SoundCloud or iTunes. We have a great show for you today. Steve Zaragoza is here.
Hey, baby.
Hey, Bree Estrig is here.
Hello.
And William Haynes is here.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, and if you aren't subscribed to us on iTunes, you should absolutely go and do so. iTunes, SourceFed Podcast. Maybe leave a rating or a review. It really helps us out. It's how we get sponsors on the show. It's how people find it. You want this thing to grow, don't you? We do it every single week. It's up on Friday nights on SoundCloud and iTunes. It's up on YouTube on Sundays, okay? Sometimes we get messages like, where's the podcast? Where's the podcast? It's been coming out on Sundays for a while now on YouTube. That's when it comes out. It's okay.
I don't read messages that ain't compliments.
The reason why it comes out on Sundays is because that's the Lord's Day.
Oh, yes. And we respect the
God.
Lord by talking about random crap for an hour.
Yep.
Okay, like, I was thinking about church and, like, what if there was... Oh, can we go into...
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
please.
I was thinking, what if there was a church for people that instead of, don't do adultery, be a kind person, it was like, let's talk about whatever. like, man, and I think that's just called stand-up comedy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's just called the open mic night at the Liquid Zoo.
Oh, but I want good preachers.
Yeah.
I want good, funny preachers.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Isn't like a Unitarian church, like it's like we believe in all things, but that's still like being positive and shit?
I
I feel like it's like you're talking about like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting minus the alcohol.
I want church but funny. Actually, there is an event at I think it's every Sunday at UCB Sunset called Churches, and it's stand-up comedy, and I think I get it. That's why
Why don't they just start a thing called Comedy Church?
Yeah, it's called Church. It's called Church.
Why don't they start Comedy Church? And it's just like...
And you get to be the preacher.
Didn't Bill Hicks become a preacher? It was some
maybe
like
he
famous
was or something?
counterculture 80s comedian was also a preacher.
Bill
don't
Hicks
know.
is he gets a little dark, right? That
I
guy.
love Bill
way
Hicks.
dark.
Yeah. Sometimes I love stand-up comedians who sometimes are not doing stand-up. They're just like being mad on stage.
Yeah.
They're just talking.
What's his name? George Carlin. George Carlin.
Yeah.
I have his book. It's him explaining all the things he hates about life.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
George Carlin has a, man, I don't know why I'm bringing this up because this could be kind of, but George Carlin
It's okay.
brought this up.
You're okay.
But George Carlin, and I think Louis C.K. had like there's all these kind of like super controversial topics that comedians are able to kind of talk about somehow and they don't get in trouble for it. Like we were watching Louis C.K.'s thing where he like talked about a child molester on Saturday Night Live.
About how when he was a kid, he was upset that the child molester didn't go after him.
Yeah.
There's a way that, I'm sure, like people have said, there's a way of making fun of sensitive topics without making fun of the victims.
Yeah.
And if you, it's such a fine-tuned, like, I think I was upset about it last night. I don't think some comedians understand that you can't just be offensive.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to be offensive for a purpose.
Right.
Well, even like George Carlin had a bit where he was like, they say notoriously that like rape isn't funny, like you can't make a joke out of rape, but he's like, but picture Donald Duck raping Goofy.
Well,
Like-
that's the thing. Is like, well,
That
both
paraphrasing,
of
but
those,
that
both
was
of those
it.
examples, both of those examples tap into something universal. Like the Louis C.K. joke taps into the feeling of why not me. Now it's putting it in an outrageous and offensive situation, but that's something that everybody
But
has
it's
felt.
also,
Yeah.
but also, I think I tapped into a little bit of like the psychology of it as well, because I feel like the way that Louis C.K. presents super like controversial subjects and makes a joke out of them, is he very much goes like, can I say that? Like, can I say, like, I'm a human being? Can I say this?
With the clip you're talking about specifically, I have never seen Louis C.K. like that before. The one when he's on SNL, he like literally turns red sometimes, but like he was like embarrassed to do his stand-up.
Yeah, well, but I feel like that's a way to do it. I feel like that's a way to be like, because the way he presented it, he was like, so I'm gonna say something, but like, I don't know if it's okay, but like I'm just gonna say this, and it's like
that's the difference between comedy and culture right now is we have to preface it with, oh, okay, look, I'm not racist, but
real quick, this is like
they
sorry,
used to just
but
get out there and do it.
Can I ask a big picture question? I'm going to ask Bree to answer it first.
Okay.
Why do you think we laugh? Because like I have an anthropological explanation that one of my teachers taught me that I think makes sense, but why do you think we
Well,
laugh?
I would love to hear that first, actually, because
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so imagine you're living like we started out as like cave people, right?
Yeah.
We were living out in the wilderness, and death could come at any time.
Hold on a second, Charles Darwin. I don't know what you're talking about.
What,
I
where
don't
You don't know
do
what
you
death
think
is?
we came from,
Just kidding,
Steve?
just kidding.
Oh, okay.
Adam's rib.
Yeah. Well, while we were
Adam's
all living
rib.
on
It very
Adam's
much could
rib,
be.
yeah, it was a really comfy place.
In my story, women ruined paradise by eating an apple. So I don't know what
Very
you're
logical.
talking about.
I really want to see like a Fraggle Rock type show of a bunch of like creatures living on Adam's rib, and it's like all of the future
That's pretty
people.
good.
Wait, hold on. I just realized, is the story Adam and Eve a story some dude wrote? He was like, I was having a good time till my wife started eating.
Yes.
Is that pretty much
Yeah.
what he
Pretty
wrote?
much
Yes.
what happened. Yeah.
It's kind of like keep watch over your woman in a way.
Right.
Don't let her steal the apple.
And talk to these snakes.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
If
But we're
we
not gonna get
accept
into
the
that.
fact that at some point the Bible had to be written down by people and was filtered through people, their opinions.
No
felt
matter
in.
where you stand, I
Yeah.
think a lot of people should realize the Bible has some good stories.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
got some
Yeah.
good stories.
Totally.
Yeah.
Epic stories, primal stories.
Yeah, stories that are being used in great movies these days.
And we just don't realize.
I
Yeah.
love sci-fi.
In
as a
fact,
genre.
the hero's journey is something that is in movies. You can look up the hero's journey and read all about it. Basically, the story of Jesus is the hero's journey.
I still think if Jesus was an anime, that anime would be so good.
Yeah.
Except, I mean, I don't know if Jesus can. Okay, there was this part. This is episode of Jesus where Peter cut off this guy's ear.
I
would
love that episode.
That
Yeah.
would be an
that
awesome
episode of Jesus. Remember the episode of Jesus where the guy killed his own son because
Yeah.
Jesus said to, or
And
God said to?
Remember the one where Jesus walked on water?
Oh shit!
that was a romp.
By the way, have you guys heard
It's
the
not
thing
canon.
that E.T. is like the Jesus story? You guys ever heard that? Because like he comes to Earth and like people like
And
are
then he's
scared of him.
sacrificed for
And
our
then-
sins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he gets stoned. And he has to walk through the streets.
Yeah, and the resurrection
bearing a
is-
giant Reese's Pieces.
The resurrection
No.
is the doors opening and
So
he
good.
stands there like
came
and all the
back to
kids are like, oh, he's alive, he came back to life. Think
right,
about
all
think about it.
Single
All right, so imagine we're all living in the wilderness somewhere. Death could come at any time. You're sitting around the campfire, and a bush starts rustling. And for a second, you tense up because that could be death behind that bush. That could be like a mountain lion.
Yeah.
And out hops like a cuddly little bunny. And you all burst out laughing because
You were scared as shit.
You were scared as shit. And it turned out that the thing you thought was scary wasn't. It's a subversion of our expectation. So the closer you can get to something that is scary, something that offends you, something that bothers you, something you're not
But
comfortable
that's
with.
just on the primal level.
Right, on the primal level. The closer you can get to that thing without actually scaring the audience,
Right.
the harder the laugh will be.
But also it's like something that in that same by that same token, it's something they're not expecting.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be built upon the idea of fear necessarily, but
surprise.
But surprise. Or something unexpected.
And playing that line is so scary. And I think that's why there's something so like relieving about doing comedy in any way, shape, or form, whether it be stand-up or in video form. It's like, because you're like scared. Every fucking day, I'm scared. Did I say too much? Remember when we did that Mexican bit this week on
yeah.
SourceFed? I was like...
And nobody gave a shit.
Nobody gave a shit.
Nobody
I was
even commented about it.
I personally thought that was one of my most risky bits that I had ever written down.
yeah, you were nervous as shit about it.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit, but that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
That's the fun of it. But, you know, it turns out okay sometimes. And nobody noticed because all you guys talked about was YouTube Red.
I
Which is
know,
cool too.
but seriously, if you haven't seen that bit, it's in the YouTube Red story we did on SourceFed, and in fact, I was thinking of maybe posting it to Instagram
do
or
it.
Vine or
Well,
something.
now I have two questions, and the second one's going to be, what do you guys think of YouTube Red? But the first one is, what do you think is the riskiest or like most like it made you nervous bit that you've ever done on these channels?
Oh boy,
Can you think of it?
I think every day is a risky bit for me.
Yeah.
Living is a risky bit for me.
What I think is the most interesting about you, Steve, is like I've had you be in like, I don't know, hundreds of bits in my life, and you never ask. Like
No.
any more than like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like
What
I've
do you want
had
me
you
to
put
do?
on a bag.
Yeah.
You want me to put on a bag and then bump into you and then ask you.
You want me to pretend to make out with you? Yeah. You want me to lay down in a bed with you? Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it has to be a video that you, me, and Bree wrote, Steve, that's coming out on Nuclear Family at some point.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know the
yeah,
one that I'm
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of. We
yeah.
can't
Yeah.
like quite talk about it yet, but like when you see it, like that's easily the most obviously offensive thing I think I've ever
You said a
written.
Nuclear Family video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have I seen it yet?
It's the one.
Yeah, it's the one that when I originally wrote it, it was terrible.
Yeah, the one where we pitched it to you, and it was like the most. It was so insensitive.
do you now know? Do you get it?
Oh yeah, but
we
we
Changed it. We changed
changed
it.
it.
But that was actually the first week I started working here.
Yeah, that was
the
that
first
long
sketch
ago.
we wrote.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we had acted that out in the house and here around here and watched it only us, it would have been really funny.
Yeah.
But putting that on the internet, oh my god.
Well, we were trying to do the most extreme like Mr. Show version
Yeah.
of what that
Yeah.
could be, and like, but you can't do that on
You can't
YouTube.
do that.
Because satire goes over a lot
Well,
of heads.
no, it's just once you have a comment section, it's impossible to let something sink in because people have instant opinions.
Right.
And if someone hasn't made up their mind yet, they look at those like top 5, top 10 comments, and not most people, but some people will be swayed by whatever they see.
Yeah.
That's why we unfortunately have to have, editors will go in and remove some of
But the
some really
cool
terrible
thing-
comments, but it's because there's this hive mind of people that kind of like, and again, like it's not all of them.
No.
But yeah, in fact, you'll see something that's like, oh man, that's intense. That's gonna make someone feel like shit. Let me like this because I want this to be up top because I want to see controversy and I want to see people made fun of and feel like shit.
But here's the cool thing is that it makes you work harder and it makes you work smarter, knowing that your message is not going to be pure, that it will be filtered through other people, and that you do need to take it in a smarter direction to get your message across without offending too many people.
Well, that's why I like Reddit. Reddit's comment system better because most of the time, and I know that there's a lot of subreddits where this doesn't really apply, but most of the time in the more like intelligent subreddits, or at least in the subreddits where there's
difference.
there is a difference.
Jumping subreddits is like jumping like continents.
Yes.
I'm not saying that some continents are dumb, but it's like
Browsing Reddit is like
cultures.
honestly,
changing cultures.
Reddit, browsing Reddit, the front page of Reddit, or even like the most obscure subreddits is like jumping into a portal and going into a whole new
Different dimension. That's a better metaphor.
It's
Different
like
dimensions.
it's like multiverse.
And all the people in those dimensions are the same. They're like, they all have.
It's like
feel the
sliders. They're humans, but like they grew up where the red light means go and the green light means stop.
Yeah.
But like one of the things I like about their comment system is that if you're genuinely making a smart comment and it's well thought out and it makes sense, then you're genuinely going to be upvoted, and that's the one that usually makes it to the top, unless you're in like r/funny gifs or something, or r/bullshit, and it's usually the most sarcastic, angry comment.
Reddit comments are so goddamn funny.
They are.
Yeah, they're smart. It's like,
They're
who are
smart.
these comedy writers
Yeah.
that like are hilarious? Like every top comment
Is
on a
hilarious.
top image is fucking hilarious.
Well,
That's
but
like
that's
or
the
go on
thing,
Imgur.
is like when you're able to be completely anonymous, you can set yourself free, and there are people who would never have the confidence to be that person in life who are hysterical, who can do it there.
Yeah.
there should be a show on YouTube called Top Comment. And it should be like like an archive of the best top comments on Reddit.
Well,
I'm
there was
sure
a show.
BuzzFeed has an article
There
or
was
something.
a show I wanted to do on Nerd like 8 months ago that I pitched. Do you remember Wheel of 4chan?
No.
Wheel of 4chan, I was going to go into 4chan and find whatever I thought was like the craziest, most horrific stuff.
I think you would
that I
become
could
a
get away
serial
with.
killer after that.
Well, it would, first of all, it would be like
lose your
really,
mind.
really hard to look at all that stuff, but I was just terrified of pissing off 4chan.
Yeah.
And it just never went anywhere.
yeah.
But we legitimately were talking to somebody to have a wheel constructed,
Right.
like an actual physical
Wheel of
wheel of
4chan.
4chan.
Yeah.
I
Pretty
do
good.
want a wheel. I've been thinking about it.
Wheels
I saw it
are
on
good.
Red and Link. They have a wheel. I'm like, I need a wheel.
Yeah, they're good.
Get wheel a wheel.
Get with project.
wheel,
Get
wheel,
Get wheel of wheel.
Get wheel.
Hashtag get Will a Wheel.
I like get wheel a wheel.
Get wheel a wheel.
Wheel a wheel sounds like a sequel to Kill a Kill.
To kill a kill. Oh, but what you were saying about
Laughter?
about the scaredest we've been for making a video. The video that I made, it's called like How to Survive a Party. There's this one where I on my
Oh
channel.
yeah, that one shot thing.
Well, yeah, when
that
I
was
walked
really
into the
cool.
house, I was so nervous. I don't know if I've talked about that on camera. I think I might have already on some podcast. But I was like terrified. Like I got the footage back, and like I could have got the footage back like 3 days later, but I waited like 2 weeks because I could not look at it. And I got it. And I couldn't even look at it. Darren did the sound design, and the whole time he's sitting there doing the sound design, I'm like sitting like this in the seat behind him, eating some chips that DJ left on his desk over the weekend. But when I put it out. That's probably the most positive feedback I've ever gotten from a video. And it's the same thing that we were talking about like with comedy. It's like you throw this like crazy idea out into the world and it's so scary, but oftentimes it can come back very positively and sometimes not.
You made an important point in there that I want to take out and highlight. DJ, if you're ever
lives-
listening to this,
leaves
if you
chips.
leave your chips, every
weekend?
time you've left your chips at the desk, at your computer desk, which is every weekend, we are eating your chips.
We are eating your chips.
We're eating your chips.
The cleaning people here, I've had a relationship with them over the past year and a half. We do what we want on the weekend.
Yeah.
We do what we want.
Yeah, and we just blame it on the
Did
cleaning
I talk
people.
about this before? I love our cleaning people, but when I first started coming to the office on the weekend, when they would clean, they would pretend like they didn't speak English. They were like, but now I'm like, hey, how you doing, man? He's like, oh, I'm doing pretty well. I'm like, you bastard.
There it is, yeah.
You don't learn English in a year.
Yeah. Well, that's the best part about being bilingual.
Yeah,
You can absolutely do that.
That escape mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to take out another highlight from what you were talking about and saying that it is good to sometimes bomb super hard so that you can look at it and say, okay, I will never do that again. Like sometimes you just need that little lesson. Like we did a story
or
once.
alter
Will.
or change it.
Yeah.
We did a story once where I don't remember the exact joke, but I was trying to be completely sarcastic and I didn't deliver it correctly. And so it came out super racist.
Oh, really?
And all the comments were like, I cannot believe Bree said that. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I had done more takes of it or just done a different joke because that sounded bad.
Don't be afraid to ever be like, hold on, can we redo that? Like I
didn't even realize.
I used to have that fear. Like in my first 4 or 5 videos, like I didn't want to make any trouble or anything because I was still part-time and the impression that I got was this job could go away at any time.
Yeah.
At any time.
What you were saying about you got to bomb every once in a while and then you learn you won't do it again.
Yeah.
I'm different than you. I don't know if I talk about it. The first time I bombed stand-up comedy, I came out on stage and there's like 3 words that you cannot say. That was one of the first things I said and it was dead silent. And I was like, damn.
Well, that doesn't mean never do it again.
Oh, I'm gonna do it again.
It just means
I'm gonna do it again.
alter it
Yeah.
or know your audience.
No, you just have to earn it.
The one,
Or earn
it.
it, yeah.
Don't be a And I was like,
I honestly can't think of one video specifically where I said something that I was ashamed of or afraid would go over badly, but I know for a fact there is a handful of them where I said something inappropriate that I probably shouldn't have said, but
No regrets.
no regrets.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope I didn't offend anybody. If I offended someone, I'm sorry, and I genuinely am sorry.
yeah.
But
the point
I
is
don't
never
ta-
to offend anyone.
No, never.
Yeah. I mean,
just a
I
fun-
would
man,
never
like-
say a word to offend anybody. That's bad.
I feel like once you say the next words I'm about to say, the defense of the internet defense goes up. But the second you say something like, man, we don't need to take life so seriously. We don't need to take life so seriously. That's when people are like, yeah, but or yeah, but
we've learned
but
in
it's
life
like
that
I don't know how to just say like it feels so good to just not take life
For
so
you.
seriously. Yeah,
you.
for me, but I want people to feel that good in their ways too. And if that means taking life seriously, then do it.
Well, I feel like I know what you mean, and this is kind of like a different example. Tell me if this fits in with that. But I'm somebody who loves to do bits in public and be loud in public. And there's some people who are like, "You're being obnoxious.
Yeah.
You're ruining other people's time."
Yeah.
When I'm really not.
I have experienced that my entire life.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I was at a veggie grill with Denise, and I was doing this bit where I kept hopping in my chair around the table over.
But it was
and
loud
over,
as fuck, probably?
loud as fuck to come over, and I'd give her a kiss, and then I'd hop back all the way, and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And if anybody really was bothered by that, they could come up and ask me not to do it.
Well, how did she feel about it?
She loved it.
Okay, so
Oh,
my
then you
thing
got the right
is,
one.
my thing is there are always going to be people that think that maybe your sense of humor isn't the greatest or whatever, and maybe it isn't the greatest, and actually it isn't, and mine isn't the greatest, and I don't know. They're the people who are the
Whose is
greatest.
the greatest?
I don't know. It's
You
all
can't-
subjective. It
you
doesn't
can't
matter.
do that. Exactly,
But
subjective.
what I will say is people who you can you absolutely drop everything that you hold up, all of your walls, all of your insecurities, people who you're able to comfortably say everything you want to say and they react in the way that you would react are the people that you should hold close and keep in your circle of friends.
People who are like-minded.
People who are like,
Right.
unless it's actually hurtful shit, and that, I mean, I don't know. What I just said is probably how the KKK got started, right? People who are
Like, hey, we hate
like-
these guys.
yeah, hey, me too. We should hang out. But hey,
also-
where'd you get that hood?
But also, don't write off people that don't think the
Yeah.
same way.
It's exactly. Don't write off those people, but also just know when the time is right to be yourself and know when the time is right to be appropriate and not be a loud, obnoxious person.
I don't have a lot of close friends, but I think I do have a large extended circle because I like to spend time with people who think with me, but I love to vacation into other people's lives because they are so different and they have such the weirdest shit to say.
People are fascinating, and it's fun to learn about other people and learn other people's threshold levels and for someone like me who is an extremely positive person and a Jewish person, an extremely positive person, and likes to and claims to be a good-hearted person. There is something so viscerally like that just feels there's something in it. I don't know if it's evil or gross or bad, and it probably is to a degree, but there's just something about the people who you meet whose threshold for comedy is so low that you're like, how are you okay?
Yeah,
then those are the people that are the absolute best to push for some reason.
Yes.
Because it's like, I don't know, it's probably not a good idea, and you can't. But it's like there are so many people who just they literally open up their jacket, and inside is a giant flashing
target.
Like, not only that, it's a thing that says, everything I say is going to be the perfect punchline. It's going to open up the perfect punchline for you.
Can I just say that maybe it's your bits are just terrible?
I mean, to some people,
around certain people.
To some people, yeah.
I know
Some
exactly what
people's
you're
sense
saying.
of humor
But it's
is
not
not
even-
your
but
sense
actually,
of humor, and that doesn't mean that they don't have one.
Well, no, that's not. Well, okay, that could be taken both ways. But what I meant was not that necessarily someone isn't laughing at my jokes. It's that it's a person who is taking life so seriously that they think what I'm saying is not only real and something that I actually mean, but is also
what it's something that I've learned how to have to do is like you have to find everybody's sense of humor, and you have to cater to it without changing yourself.
Yeah,
it's so difficult.
Well, but
it's so difficult.
It's not that difficult. It's difficult to learn, but it's like once you know, like I'm gonna do my thing, and then if I don't know you, I'm gonna check in. I'm gonna check in and say, I'm sorry, did that bother you, or is that okay? And if they say no, that's fine, then I'm gonna go as far as I can. And if there's a line, they'll find it with me.
I feel like you can tell by the way people react.
that's my thing.
So it's
just like learn how to read
that's my
people.
thing, because I feel like going to someone and being like, hey, did my joke offend you, is also a way of saying like, hey, I'm about to give you a perfect thing to say a punchline to. Because I don't know, like and everybody's different, and this whole conversation, anybody who's listening, nobody here is like right about what they're saying.
I would argue that nobody's right, period.
Nobody's right, period, about anything, unless you're a fucking astrophysicist and you want to talk about fucking, like, I
would say Neil deGrasse Tyson is right.
Neil deGrasse Tyson is right about everything.
But he's our true north.
But
everybody
I will say,
else,
right. So
he's
what
our great white north.
So I mean, this is actually also the disclaimer for when we started this, but none of us are right, obviously, about like what is a better sense of humor or whatever. But
no, this isn't an argument. This is a conversation.
It's a conversation, exactly. And
some
so
people think in The Lion King when Scar fell, it was funny. I mean, Mufasa.
I laughed in the theater. But what Bree was saying is like you kind of get a sense. Like some of us have like a better. I don't know if it's a better sense of like knowing when something went too far and when the expression on people's faces. But it's like it's really one of those things where it's like you realize like you look around the room and the one person that isn't laughing, you kind of go like, oh shit. Ah, fuck, did I fuck up? Okay, I'm going to take it back.
Apologizing is so hard. Is it not?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
it gets easier.
Well, apologizing for being yourself is even harder because it's like it's tough. Like, you know, like I constantly have to apologize for being myself.
Yeah.
And but it could be on my own. It could be on me because it could be a stubborn thing where it's like I don't want to change this thing about myself. But on the other hand,
changing. It's just finding the right people to say certain things.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if somebody gets easily offended by things and they've told you several times, like that's not.
They're not the person to be yourself around.
You got to jump out of.
Well, but the problem with that though is like we aren't just people who are like, you know, working at a McDonald's or like working in an office building together. Like we're in front of the camera all fucking day. And in order to kind of like be yourself, but also be respectful, but also this, but also that, but also this, while a camera's in your face, it's like
I know, right?
It's like, holy shit, I don't even know who the fuck I am anymore. Right. Like I go home and I'm like, fuck, cunt, bitch, fuck, N-word, like, and then just like, oh shit, because I'm like such a bottle of like all these things.
Maybe not the word vomit, but like that feeling. I totally felt that. I want to say for like the first 18 months that I was here.
Yeah.
Like
because we go there.
Yeah, well, because we'd go there on camera, and then slowly but surely, like people's reactions, I got more and more nervous about what to say and how to be, and like I stopped being myself at some point, and like I had to find my way back.
Yeah.
Well, and then people come up to you who you respect and who you care about and will say, hey, the way you're acting is like shitty and you're like obnoxious and or whatever, to paraphrase, this isn't a personal experience, but it's like to a degree, people will come up to you and be like, you're being an asshole or something. And then you step back and you're like, no one's ever said this to me.
I was thinking about it this week, and I think everybody takes a turn as the asshole. Like,
no one's free from being an asshole.
I was in an asshole phase recently, and I think I jumped out of it, but I had to work hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
And then some other people got into it, not pointing any names, but you know who I'm talking about, and everybody at this table knows.
Darren? No, just kidding. Star? No, it's just one of those. But like honestly, no, never Star. Star's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there is that thing about like, thinking you're not being an asshole, but it is about.
I would argue that telling somebody that they're being an asshole is harder than apologizing.
Right, but that's why I'm saying like if there's someone in your life that you feel like is truly being an asshole, it's one of those things where it's like it might not be your place to say such a thing, but if there are people around you that you are close to and you respect and the people that you trust.
Where does that come from? That feeling of it's not my place to let this person know that they're being inappropriate. They're bothering me and others.
Sometimes it's not. If it's one of those things where it's like this is someone who is so set in their ways, and you know it because of people that know that person or because of whatever, and you know that you just simply going over to that person, especially if you're someone that doesn't know that person very well, and you say it's just like when you get a comment that's like Matt Lieberman, you're a fucking idiot, or Steve Zaragoza, you're a fucking idiot.
Sure.
It's like I'm not gonna listen to that guy because that guy doesn't know who I am.
Anybody who thinks that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really depends because if you are in an environment like this and someone says, hey, I'm trying to work and you're being obnoxious, not you're being an asshole, like, what you said really offended me, I think a person should take that into consideration and say, you know what, like, if what I'm doing offends you, I'll try my best not to say that stuff around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
I have a, I'm a pretty dirty motherfucker, but I have this group of friends. You've heard me talk about them all the time, Steve. They're all Catholic. They live a little bit outside of Los Angeles, and I love them. And I don't do any of my, my shit, but it's so freeing to me just knowing that there are people, it's as a comedian trying to adhere to their sense of humor where I have to take away all the fuck, bitch, like, and I can still be funny is very relieving to me.
That's the best for me because when I'm with people like my family who really just don't do the same thing, they don't do any of the same things that we do or know what I'm talking about ever. But when they laugh at me, that's when I truly feel like a funny person.
Yes.
Because like they're the mainstream, like they're the type of people that I'm trying to make laugh in general.
That's what I love. Like Sam has his real like his friends, his boring ass friends.
Yeah, they're different. That are not like us at all.
I love these motherfuckers. Oh my god, I am the man when I'm with them.
Well,
I
see
love
that there is an aspect of that's like, you're gonna meet people that are different all day and every day, and that's what makes this world so beautiful and terrible at the same time. But for me, it's like, there are the people that are like. When I say fuck, they're like, whoa, shit. Yeah. And it's like, oh, man.
That's the start of it, man.
But it's like, it's almost like that little taste of power. It's like, oh man, that made them react this way. Let's see where I can go next with it. And it's like, for me, with people who think I'm like maybe obnoxious or they don't think my jokes are funny or whatever, it's like,
you still get what you want.
But whatever, they're still humans, and there's got to be some common ground, and I'll always find that. I'll always do my best, and I will go out of my way to find out what it is that entertains you. And like when I talk to people that are like fucking 20, 30 years older than I am, they're not going to laugh at like fucking weird Eric Andre shit or Tim and Eric shit. So I'm not going to talk to them about that. I'm going to talk to them about what they like and listen to them and think of what they think's funny, and I will indulge that.
And do that while still being yourself.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
And I will do my best to be myself as well. But then there's a point where you're like, okay, I'm done here because I can't say fuck anymore.
Yeah.
And also,
You can only take it for so long.
right, and I can't tell you what I think is actually funny. So here I go with my friends who what I think is like
You don't
the
have-
fucking most hilarious shit ever will laugh at that. And
You don't
that's-
have sides of your sense of humor. Like I don't see anything wrong with like I have friends who like you were saying, Will, who are very Christian and very proper. I love making them laugh more than anybody
Me
else,
too.
and I can hang out with them for
Yeah,
days
yeah.
and days
Yeah.
and days and still feel fulfilled.
Yeah, well, that's what
comedically.
I'm saying. Like days, weeks, whatever. But you get to a point where you're like,
Okay, I
oh,
gotta
these
go
aren't
do this.
these
shit.
aren't my friend. These aren't my people in a way. You know, these aren't these aren't my.
It's
comedy.
not my tribe.
This isn't my tribe. These are my comedy kin. So it's like, you know, there's only so much you can do
Yeah.
with the realm of like you're not using that part of your brain that's so much more natural and feels like you.
I've been feeling that way lately. I've been like I feel like I need to meet more comedians, like more stand-up-y comedians, because like I know a lot of internet comedians, and like I because they're different. I want to understand what that type of sense of humor is like. Like I know, like, you know, the ones that we all know, but I want to see what are the ones that don't know anything about this.
Right.
Yeah, I want to see the
there are
real.
Well,
plenty
I
of
just so
those.
happened
But
to
they're
be
so sad. I can't.
and I was back in the presence of Lee and Joe and Elliot yesterday, and we had a nice evening together, and we instantly like. There was a period of time when they had all left SourceFed where it was like I hadn't seen them for a couple of weeks, and then you go to a party and you see them and it's like, oh shit, there's Lee or there's Joe, and it's like you go and you hug and it's a little awkward at first, but last night it was like we instantly slipped back into what it was like when they worked here, and it was like amazing. I was so happy. My heart, like I felt warmth. I felt like I was back with my other family, you know, and it was like, you know, jokes and like bits and like all this shit just back and forth, and it was like, oh my God. It was like I was exercising.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what's
it felt like
weird?
exercising.
Is Joe still calls me? So like everything that's going on behind the scenes, he knows I'll tell him. That's why he calls me. But I feel that way. I still feel the same way. That's why Joe calls me.
That's Joe's cares.
Yes, because Joe knows
Tell
I
me
will
all
tell him
tell me all
anything.
the gossip.
Yeah.
What's going on?
And you know what?
What did Steve do this week?
That is a great thing to have.
It's a great thing to
people
have.
that get you and people that you gel with the best. And I like that that's your thing personally, is your comedy clique or whatever. But for me personally, I am surrounded by so many people who do comedy that I just want to go at the end of the day and be around people that want to have like
Tea.
deep conversations or not put on a bit. Like sometimes, I mean, bits are fun. We all know it's fun, but like sometimes I'm just like, I need to be around people that can turn it off and talk to
I
me.
love hanging out with Raina. Like I'll have
Raina's
lunch
great.
with Raina and we'll just have a wonderful
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
Because there is no bullshit with that girl.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
Raina?
is 100% her
She's
all
so
the
real.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she also has no filter whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize until recently she says that shit on camera too.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, yeah, Raina. Oh God, Raina
wow.
has the dirtiest mouth out of anybody I know. Raina doesn't do racist things other than that, or like homophobic things. But other than that, Raina will say all that shit.
Yeah. She's
Yeah,
amazing.
she
Well,
has
I
a
feel
warped
like
mind,
this
and it's great.
this is a good example of kind of us. Because I mean, I don't know. I feel like we get to this point on the podcast where like we're joking and we're doing our dumb bullshit, but then we get like we get into the muscle and we start to need it a little bit. Now we're
I
like,
think comedy and like being deep are so similar.
Yeah.
They're so similar. Like I think I've probably talked about it before, but like as I know a lot of comedians like they want to get a joke out of something, but sometimes you don't want a laugh.
No.
Sometimes you want silence. Sometimes you want sadness.
Well, we're
Giving me that, oh, I filmed a special. I know.
oh, I'm Elliot Morgan.
come here.
Come in here for a second.
Come here, buddy. Yeah.
Have a seat.
You want to have a discussion about comedy and deep shit?
Nobody's listening.
You can learn a lot at elliotmorganspecial.com.
Oh.
What's that?
That's I think it's a place where he keeps his
Let me
special.
tell you, I got the paper from your special that has your photo on it. And it says hashtag white privileged male.
That's me.
I showed it to my sister and she said, She
Yeah.
thought it was funny though. She thought it was funny.
That's amazing.
You look great today. Love your sweater.
Yeah, who's your personal stylist?
Look at this.
Look at you, Jesus!
Look
Look
at
at
this.
these
Look at these
shoes. God damn.
Nike Pro Mag 2s.
Some Supras, huh?
Supra.
What are you doing here, man? Who's your stylist?
jackthreads.com/SourceFed.
Oh, did you know that if you enter the offer code SourceFed, you could get 20% off your first
That's
order?
beautiful.
This would have been
Do
the
they
best
have-
commercial of all time.
Let's do
if
a
we planned
segment
that.
called "What's in Elliot's
Let's
Bag."
see
Bring
if
it
we
over
can
here.
charge them for that.
Oh, do they sell women's clothes?
At present, they do not.
Oh,
Can I be honest a little
You
bit
could go
about
to hotelook.com.
I love to get so getting back to the topic.
Yeah.
I love to get deep. I love to have deep conversations. Like right now, I feel like we're having a great conversation about comedy and people and our own opinions about whatever. But I sometimes, and this is my own insecurity. And this isn't something that I'm saying is everybody or is again, I'm not right or anything, but. For me, one of my own personal insecurities is when we start to get deep about deep conversations, it starts to feel like maybe I'm not I feel stupid. Like what I'm because again, it's my own insecurity. Like I feel like once we start to get very very deep, and I've never gotten as deep as I can get on a podcast or on SourceFed ever. I've gotten pretty deep and I've gotten pretty serious, but I've never gone to the point where. I'll start to bring my philosophy and my religious beliefs into it, or lack thereof, and I'll start to feel like whoever I'm talking to is either waiting for the next thing they're going to say, or what I'm saying is so stupid that they're not listening, or it's like, what am I fucking even talking about? And I'm not the authority on this. And let me get to what I'm good at.
Yeah. No, dude, don't be
Okay.
afraid. I know on my podcast, the one I do with Darren, I'm surprised how deep I get because there's something cathartic about it. There's something cathartic about throwing out this insane idea that you think is personal to only you, just like a joke, and it being received, positively. That's even better than a joke.
The thing about you, Steve, is that you do have some really poignant things to say when we all have conversations together. And it's not, I understand why you would feel that way because people feel stupid and human a lot of the time.
It's the same reason why I won't write a serious song ever in my life.
Okay.
Really?
And that's cool. That said, I think that's the point of having those conversations is because nobody is right. And
that's
what
true.
we all have something to bring to the
you
table.
could.
But personally,
I think
I feel like
you'd be
people are-
surprised how well you could do on the
maybe,
other side.
and
I think
it's not
so
to
too.
say
I think so
Yeah.
too.
it's just that for me in my life, what has worked out better for me, and what has worked out in the sense that like people will gravitate towards me and be interested in my life and want to be my actual friend and not just invite me over for jokes or whatever.
Speak up.
Is Matt
I'm trying to be respectful.
is
Yeah.
because what I'm good at and what brings those people close to me is when I'm being genuine, when I'm just being myself. And when I'm being myself, it's usually in some sort of comedic. There's always some sort of comedic thing happening. And
So is there a fear there that if there isn't a comedic context that they would not want to hang out?
not so much a fear, it's like a slight insecurity that like it's not what I'm good at.
Well, that's how I feel whenever I go to like a party or something and I don't know anybody there. Until I can make someone laugh, I feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Once you get that first laugh, once you break the seal, then I feel like, okay, I can own this room and I can have fun. But if I can't make someone laugh, I will probably leave within an hour because I'm that
Mine has
just
more to
nervous.
do with mine isn't surprisingly mine isn't like the first time I can make someone laugh. It's like the first time I can relate to someone.
Yeah.
I used to care so much about that. I don't know what happened to me. Like if I go to a party and I don't know anybody, and if they don't think I'm funny, I do not care anymore. It's like I used to care a lot when I was younger, but now it's like, oh, cool. Now I just blend in and I'm just a part of it. And I'll drink this fucking Sprite. Like it's so much better.
I used to say that my kryptonite were people that I could not make laugh, no matter what degree of comedy I vomited out of my mouth, whether it was like extreme potty shit or like slightly higher brow, like or a pun or whatever. I used to say those people were my kryptonite. I wanted nothing to do with them, but this was years and years and years ago. But now I realize that like again, like we all think the world revolves around us in some way,
Yeah.
and it's very hard to think outside of you sometimes.
Sometimes people that don't laugh at jokes just want to have a normal conversation.
They do want to have
sure.
and you have to know when to do that.
Yeah, and it's just like, why don't I just ask them like what they like to do for fun?
Yeah.
You know what I
We
mean?
never
And then
ask each
find the
other any
comedy.
questions.
That's why
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But that's why I rarely will go to someone and the first thing I'll say to them is a joke. I will rarely do that.
Yeah. Oh,
unless
you have to
I'm in
disarm them. You have to disarm them. Like like in
well, you
stand-up
have to
comedy.
like but also again, kind of like in stand up, you have to kind of like play the room a little bit. And,
You open up
But
with,
you don't have to.
No, well,
you don't
in a
have
way
to
you
do anything.
but not in the sense of a performer,
Right.
In the sense of I'm a human, you're a human.
Oh, you mean like coming to them on their level?
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
what you mean.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
No, there's something I heard on a podcast recently, and it's
Get
like,
on my level,
and
man.
the Get on My Level
Steve?
podcast.
I feel like we're there.
Yeah, I think we're there.
Yeah. No, I was listening to a podcast recently, and I think it was Godfrey on Mark Maron's show, and he brought up Bill Cosby. And like it's a shame that like there's so many things about Cosby's comedy that are so powerful and so useful to a comedian and so smart that now are really poisoned by the fact that he was a terrible dude. But like one of the things that a piece of advice that he gave once was never be afraid of silence. And he was never afraid of silence on stage. He would take if you watch Bill Cosby himself, he'll take like 10 minutes to tell a story before he even tells one joke or tries to make you laugh.
Set up.
And it's just, you should never be afraid of someone else's reaction to you. You should always try to be your best self. And, whether or not they can accept that is really only a reflection on them.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that if you offend someone or that you deeply bother someone, that you can't, say, hey, mea culpa, I'm sorry that I offended you. I'm just being me.
There is a difference between being yourself, though, and
being a
offensive.
prick. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes you can be yourself without being offensive.
But you know
what
what's
I mean?
different? You know what's
Well, you
strange
just have
though?
to not
And
be an
here's
asshole.
Just
here's
don't be an
something
asshole.
some people are used to being a certain way and being accepted because of that. And by like, your group of friends, you're accepted for that. But then you might meet people along the way that are like, hey, wait a minute, that way that makes your group of friends laugh isn't funny to me, and it hurts me, and it makes me feel like shit. Don't think that you're like that's a person that is coming in to ruin your life and change you. Just know that it just so happens there are other people in this world that don't feel the same thing you
We're all
think is
trying
funny.
to
and we're all just trying to
coexist.
coexist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, I love this conversation. I did mention earlier YouTube Red, and I do want to have that conversation before we wrap up because we're running low on time.
Let's talk about YouTube. Red.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, YouTube announced this week that they were launching a new platform called YouTube Red, which is a paid subscription service where you would watch YouTube with no ads, and you'd also get some premium content along with your subscription. And a lot of people are pissed off, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are like,
because it's
you
the
know,
latest thing to be pissed off about.
Well-
and it's the one thing that if you're pissed off about it and you're vocal, you're gonna get a bunch of angry pitchfork people
For those
behind
of
you
you,
going, yeah.
For those of you who've been like watching, been on the internet for a long time, remember when they changed YouTube from 5 stars to thumbs up, and everybody was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this shit sucks." You get over it after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, is it just people getting mad to get mad, or is it because something that's supposed to be the democratization of media, free content
Ooh,
from
you
everyone?
just got New York Times
no,
on us.
I'm just
Oh,
saying.
damn.
Let's have a real conversation about it.
I wanna know,
Like
'cause-
this thing that's supposed to be free and is built around anyone can do it, anyone can watch it for free. Now people.
well, that's not going away. though.
exactly. That's the thing. Is like
Yeah.
people are like, now you have to pay for it. You don't
No,
have to
you
pay
don't.
for
You
it.
don't have to. No.
It's like Vessel. You don't
Right.
have to. You don't have to sign up for Vessel, but if you do, you get stuff early. You
get
get
perks.
extra stuff, and you get fewer commercials.
Yeah, so
This,
it's
you get no
like-
commercials.
You
If
get
you-
no commercials, and the people that are saying like, I pay less for Hulu, but you still have to watch ads on Hulu.
I know, and what's really funny is the comments. They were like, ad block, I never see ads. I'm like, thank you for taking our money away. Like,
yeah, we're working for you guys.
I think a lot of people think like we're just having fun. Like, no, this is a job. This is
Yeah.
a for real a thing that people's babies are being fed and shit off of this.
I can think of
Yeah.
3
You
people who
openly-
have lost years off their life working here.
Yeah.
I mean, plus, you have a service like YouTube Red, which is potentially a greater way for creators to make better content because of the money that's
well,
coming
yeah,
in
let's
from
be
it.
honest. YouTube and Google have a fuckload of money.
That doesn't mean that the people that work for them make that much
Yeah.
money.
Right.
No,
right.
God,
a lot
no.
of that is
Oh,
just
understand that.
We
Yeah.
don't.
First and foremost,
A lot of
understand
it's
that.
sitting in a Scrooge McDuck type vault.
Yeah, and also, remember when Harley was like, "Yeah, all these motherfuckers that came up here are millionaires? I was like,
Yeah.
what?
That's
I
not-
spit my
no.
Coca-Cola streamies brought to you by Coca-Cola right all over the ground and was like, no, sir. No, sir.
No, and I don't know. It's not necessarily about the money, but like if we have a chance to get money
And
to
to make
make
higher
cooler
quality content.
shit and better shit for everybody, I don't see why it's I don't see why it's.
Well, here's the thing.
It's all about perspective. It's because
Yeah.
you get it. We have a different perspective than other people do.
Have you guys seen the Napster documentary downloaded?
No.
It's really, really good. But like it's like going all the way back to Napster. If people want to watch your shit for free without ads, they'll find a way to do it.
Yes.
And the people who are already doing that, who are mad about YouTube Red on an ethical level, will continue to do that.
And
so
also,
it doesn't affect them.
And also know this too: as much as the FCC and as much as these major studios and God knows who else are trying to stop piracy or whatever, newsflash. Piracy will never end.
Right. Well,
Ever. There will always be a way to steal shit. And people who want to do it will do it. And like just like Matt was saying, you're not going to be affected by this shit. No reason for you to be mad. You're still going to find a way to download fucking Game of Thrones for free. And fine, do that. I'm not saying it's a good idea because a lot of people fucking make money off of that shit. People that work their goddamn asses off, like us. We work our fucking asses off every day to bring you this type of content. And honestly, every other fucking month, there's a scare that we could potentially not be a relevant series anymore, and YouTube will fall the fuck apart, and there will be no more SourceFed because
And your ass is on ad block.
well, I mean, and then we'll have to fucking go elsewhere and struggle for our lives to try to fucking manage our shit.
Someone put it
just
for
so-
sure.
It was you.
No, this is not my
wasn't me.
poop.
It wasn't mine.
Wasn't me.
Mine.
Okay.
I
would
always
tell
claim
you.
that shit. And also, look, guys, we just so happen to have a job where, yeah, it looks like fucking fun and games and shit, and most of the time it is. But this is what we're good at. And for some reason, someone decided to pay us for this.
It's like sneaking into the carnival. They don't want you to do that. Those poor
Right, right.
motherfuckers.
Right.
You ever been to a carnival? Did I ever tell you about when I went to a carnival in my adult life?
I've never been to a carnival.
Oh my god! But like the people who work there, they're not like how I remembered when they were kids. They're like some of these people.
They're
look
called
like they have,
carnies.
They're
they
called
have-
carnies. They're all addicted to meth or heroin.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
That's
They're
not even a
thieves.
generalization. That's
Yeah.
just true.
Yeah.
And like you want me to get on this ride that goes woo 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 woo, and you're controlling it while you're over there scratching your neck.
And not only that, you're adjusting a bolt on the metal piece that's keeping a child in as they're going around in
Can I
circles.
tell you a story that I've told on Table Talk before,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
need to bring it up? This
Yeah.
girl that I went to high school with, boarding school, she told me that one time she went on the zipper. Do you know the zipper? That's the
flip
ride.
around and
it
around
goes,
and around.
It goes around in like an oval shape, but
Right. It's
you're,
like a
but
big,
you're
long-
in little metal cars that are like turning around upside down while you're going around. In
oh
a
yeah,
circle,
yeah,
right?
yes.
She says that she went on the zipper, and then she blacked out, and she woke up in the hospital because her car fell off the oval, and it crushed her ribs, and this cage that was keeping her in crushed her ribs, and she broke like 3 ribs, and she woke up in the hospital.
Jesus Christ.
And the way she told it was like, oh, I went to the mall and somebody flipped me off, and I was like, wait, you went on that ride and you almost died.
Listen
from
here.
a carnival. And
Man
she's like,
was
yeah.
not meant to move around in a zipper formation
I've
in
been-
cars
She was like,
Yeah,
made
but
of
also-
steel.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
But did she get her hot dog on the stick before she left, you know?
It's
Yes.
carnival food.
Is that
It's
a
the best food.
euphemism?
I've been on that ride too. I remember I was and it was back in the Bay, and it was like an unusually hot day. And I remember my sister and I got in, and we like slid around, and everything was burning us. And
course.
I thought that was bad. That is way worse.
It's way worse. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
every time
Yeah.
you get on
Crushed
a fair,
ribs is
but
way
every
worse.
time you get on a ride at the fair, at least for me, every time I get on a ride, I'm like, this could fall off. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
feels like it's going to fall off.
You know
at
what's
any
even
second.
scarier? Some dude with a stogie, like fucking in a wife beater, counting money is probably like, "Hey, listen, 3 deaths a year, no big deal. We sweep it under the rug and we keep getting that money." You know, it
Absolutely.
doesn't matter. It does not
Absolutely, he
matter.
does not care.
No, it's not going to shut down
I'm
carnivals.
not worried though. Like at Disneyland, I am not worried. They
People
are.
die in Disneyland too, though.
But I've read about it. It's like so rare, and they put so much effort into that not
Yeah,
having.
safety's
I
a big
trust
deal
them.
there,
I
yeah.
trust them at Disneyland.
Can we go back to the YouTube Red conversation?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think that this is what I think.
Yeah.
All media is going one way. Like it basically, you're going to subscribe to like a portal. Like TV's going to go away, movies are going to go away. Not that you're not going to continue to get those formats of media, but it's all going to be streamed to your house.
Sure.
Like that's the
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
it's all going to
yeah.
be streamed everywhere, and eventually it's just going to be one subscription to get everything.
Well, I don't know
Yeah.
if that's true because there's
Yeah.
so many fucking companies out there that want to be that one company,
Right.
That it's never gonna
Well,
happen. I don't
Netflix
think there'll
wants to be
ever
that
be.
company.
But I don't think
You
there
know-
will ever be one. There will always be like maybe 3 major ones.
What's crazy to think is that you know how like back like maybe like 10 years ago and kind of now Disney was like killing it and they were like, oh, we're the biggest company, fuck you. Netflix could be that next company.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
They could totally. In 20 years, they could be it.
So this week, literally within days of each other, I signed up for Hulu's new ad-free level of subscription. And then I saw this article that was like, with the new ad-free Hulu, Hulu is now the best streaming service. And I'm like, okay, well, what's up with that? Because Netflix is the best on a lot of levels, definitely on the original programming level. But it kind of is the best. Like, I don't need TV. I don't have to watch ads. I have access to every show that's on the air right now and tons of classic TV shows and a lot of the best shows that, like...
Yeah.
Like, if you look at Netflix and the shows that they have been acquiring or they've been able to acquire, less of the best cable programs have been coming to Netflix in the last 3 years.
Just go to hulu.com/LieberFriends. Get yourself
an offer code. Come on, baby.
I do like it. I do like it.
I think that
man.
Hulu has a bunch of new things. Like, that's what they're good for.
Well, they have all the Cartoon Network shows. Like, I've been watching, like, tons of Steven Universe. Like, they have Fargo. They have all the FX stuff now. They have the
If I had
Criterion
any
collection.
type of
People like
time,
you-
I would be doing
For
that.
people like you
Honestly-
who want to watch current television, who like want to have the power of cable in their lives, it's good for that. If you're the kind that wanted to watch a movie,
and that's the same
Netflix.
thing
No,
with...
well,
with
not even Hulu. What Matt was saying, they have like almost all Criterion collection on there too. It's
Oh,
like
super filmy people.
crazy.
And
Yeah.
then like movies like the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 is exclusively on Hulu, not on Netflix.
So what we're saying is you're not going to find that quality on YouTube Red, but if you like that kind
How do
of
you
stuff,
know?
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding. I'm totally
I was
kidding.
like,
I'm
what
totally
to
kidding.
say?
Definitely not kidding. Or kidding, definitely kidding. But what I'm going to say is I don't give a shit about Hulu. If I want to watch those shows, I don't have time to watch them anyway. I'll just watch them on Lieberman's computer or something.
Yeah, I mean-
but it doesn't matter. For anybody that wants it, get it.
Yeah,
For
the
anyone
point
that
is you
don't
don't
want,
have to.
if they
So
don't
it's
want
really
it,
not
no,
that big a
don't
deal.
force
My
Forcing
sister
you.
calls me up every 2 weeks and says, "What's the Netflix password?" I haven't changed it. I told her I will never change it. I will never change it. I'm tired of telling people what my password is. I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, think about like even Radiohead when they sold In Rainbows for whatever people
Whatever you
wanted
wanted,
to pay
yeah.
for it. Like, and they made more money on that album than they made almost in the rest of their entire career.
Right.
If people like your shit, if you make good enough shit, people will pay for it or they won't. And it's the same people who would or wouldn't have paid for it in the first place.
Totally. In life, people are always like, how do I get my videos to get views? How do I get people to buy my product? Have a good product.
Well, and
Make
also,
a good video.
and to
Yeah,
that,
that video, How to Survive a Party, is a great video.
and
Thank
to
you.
that,
Yeah.
it's like, a lot of people are also saying, like, this YouTube Red thing, like, I don't want to pay money for shit I'm already watching. This doesn't make sense. But actually, the idea is what will be premium is shit that isn't like what you're seeing right now.
Yeah.
It's
and
going to
not
be
having to watch damn ads.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we could still get our money with. You don't have to watch ads.
Right, you're
we
not
can still get our money.
shortchanging anybody, but
Yeah.
you still don't have to watch
Yeah,
ads.
and
Isn't that the
also,
best?
look, we're not homeless people, and we're not on the verge of bankruptcy, but we're also not millionaires. So
God no.
I'm working
and
on
a
it, though.
lot of YouTubers aren't, and they're
Especially these days.
how
Especially
many
these days.
are do you think? Like 100?
maybe more
1,000?
because there's a bunch of British kids that are doing.
Sure.
Oh, those
I
young,
would say
good-looking
less.
people.
I would
Oh
say
God.
I would say like 100.
Anybody who's out there making like some type of art is not a millionaire. Anybody who's like, hey, so like I'm today I'm pretty and today I'm a cute boy with a skateboard, they're making a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
well.
true.
So I don't know. I guess on that note, it's like pick and choose what you. I mean, but that's the beauty of YouTube, man. If you don't want to watch something, don't watch it.
You
If
don't
want to pay
have
for
to.
something, you can pay for it. You don't have to.
If you're
it's
a
still
YouTube
freedom.
musician, oh God. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe they're making money.
Well,
I
that's
don't-
that's where Patreon comes in, right?
yeah,
Kaiser
man.
Just email me. They say I'm dying.
Who emailed you? to say
Kaiser?
that?
Kaiser.
Oh,
said-
Kaiser.
Oh,
Kaiser
okay.
said I'm done.
Anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
Tom
done
Tom
talking
just
this
called
shit.
to let you know that you got your test back.
I'm dying.
Would that be
I'm
would that be
dying.
bad if they wrote a really formal email and said, by the way, you are dying. You have all of them. Would that be bad?
That might almost be better than like bad actual bedside
You're dying. You
manner.
have all of them.
You have all of
That's
them.
like the invention of lying. That movie.
Oh
You seen that movie,
yeah.
Invention of Lying. Yeah.
That was a movie that I was so excited about when I heard
I
about
know.
it, but wasn't.
It's, yeah, because you're like Ricky Gervais is very intelligent, has a lot of great shit to say, an amazing comedian, and he's doing a movie about basically like religion and how everything's a lie or whatever. And you're like, fuck, that sounds amazing. It turns out it was a stinker. It was
Really?
a stinker, yeah. But my thought was if that movie had come out 20 years ago and starred Bill Murray and had like Harold Ramis and those people in charge of writing, I think it would have been fucking brilliant. It would have been another
For
like
your
Groundhog
market.
Day.
Yeah. Ricky Gervais is somebody that I would love to talk to. I feel like I can get down to the nitty gritty with him. I feel like everything's off, nothing is off limits with him except for animal abuse. Yeah. Do not
Which
say,
no one wants to casually admit they're into.
Yeah.
No one wants to,
by the way, I do kick my puppy.
Yeah. I love cooking, I love walks on the beach. I love slaughtering pigs.
Yeah.
Whale clubbing.
oh man, I'm so into the new Metal Gear game and playing that.
Dolphin
Also
tuna.
into putting my dog in the freezer when he's
my
bad.
I mean, did that not happen to Catacomb? But that's a different story. Thanks for watching. Yeah.
No, I did like our conversation today, but dare I ask that we maybe open it up to what do the people want to listen to us talk about next?
Ooh, that's an interesting idea. Let us know.
I'm curious.
Yeah, let us know down in the comments what you'd like us to talk about on the next podcast. We'll pick a couple topics and we'll do it that way.
Maybe
Sounds
even
like
give
fun.
a little shout out or two.
Ooh, I like shout outs.
Me too.
And if I don't want to talk about it, I'm not going to be on this fucking podcast.
There you go.
Fair enough. You have free will, just like everyone on the
Can you
internet.
say that again for me?
And if I'm not going to be on it, or
No.
and if I don't want to talk about it, I'm not going to be on this fucking podcast.
If someone was for real trying to threaten me with that voice, I'd be like, you need to go back and rethink.
Yep.
You're one of those people that take shit too seriously, aren't you? I don't
If
want
you're
anything
gonna
to do
borrow
with
my
you.
pencil and paper, you better think about it again, bitch.
I'm gonna be like, wow, this is not a TED Talk, all right? Calm down, buddy.
All right, Steve, where can people find you if they want to talk to you?
On the Twitters, at Steve Zaragoza.
Very
Or you
nice.
can follow me in the same name on Snapchat.
Ooh. And Bree?
I am at Bree S. Rig on everything, and I am on everything except LinkedIn. I don't know why people do that.
Are you on Shroom?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Are you on Mixie?
Someone asked me if I had a Shroom hookup recently, and they asked me by saying, do you have the Super Mario hookup? Or do you have the Super Mario experience or something?
And you're like, I don't know if I could get you a download code for Mario
Yeah, I
Maker.
was like, you talking
but,
about Mario
they have it
Maker?
at work.
Yeah.
Man, shrooms, everybody that talks about shrooms is like, man, I never even loved myself until I put this mushroom in my mouth. What is about that?
All it means is that their endorphin levels were so unnaturally high that they ended up thinking things that they wouldn't have normally thought if their endorphins weren't that high.
Just imagine being on Rainbow Road. For real.
But the scariness of falling off Rainbow Road would
No.
take away from.
But there's
Can I have
but no, but there
rails?
is
Hold on,
but
let me-
there's
Have rails?
it has rails
Okay.
though.
Hold on, let me translate this in Will speak. Imagine Chris Rock's sense of humor was the most comfortable pillow in the world, and you could lay down on it.
Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah.
you lived in the Hotline Bling video set.
Oh my god! Oh! I figured out what hallucination I want to have.
Yeah.
Kids, please be responsible. If you're gonna do that shit, wait till you're 18. Your brain's
Yeah.
fully developed. Otherwise, you're gonna be a
25.
dumbass.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Will, where can they find you?
At Mr. William Haynes, I'm gonna figure out a way to make that happen.
Do it. Do it for yourself.
At Mr. William Haynes on Twitter, William Haynes on the other bullshit.
And the She Didn't Text Back podcast.
hell yeah, listen to that with me and Darridge.
Yeah, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, and you can listen to my podcast, Ask Liebs, on iTunes and SoundCloud. Hey. All right, thank you all so much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Oh, and it's an hour, baby.
I know when the Hotline Bling.
Everybody loves Raymond.
Right, and it used to
But
be
when
like,
I
I
was a
Dream of
kid-
Genie and Bewitched.
Yes,
and
when I-
So the hair won't.
That's
smudge off or some
not
shit?
smart.
That is no, it's not smart. It's
Let's-
not.